scientific research produces images all the time for scientific research and for the information it gets, but it's very rarely looked at in terms of it being a description of our relationship to the natural world.
I suppose artists have a kind of relationship with the idea of inquiry and curiosity, and they certainly share that with scientists.
I think my original interest in natural history came from just trying to reconcile my relationship with these animals, the birds really. All sorts of animals that I felt I had a relationship with, even though they were wild, but they're obviously totally different from me.
We're sitting here at the moment in my allotment, which I'm very lucky to have. There's a lot of waiting lists on allotments, but they're an amazing place. I mean, right now you can't see, but we're in the dip of a hill. The city centre is about 10 minutes that way on a bike, and I mean, it's early in the morning now, but even at the height of the day, you can't hear any cars, and having that separation from an urban environment, but within an urban environment, is really important to me.
A lot of my work looks at sort of models, and it really looks at, analyses mathematics or harmonics or things that appear in nature and the structural way things are held together in terms of tessellation, and there is very much an observation of things around us.
I think it's interesting that quite a lot of artists might engage with the history of science as well, and the history of ideas, that it might not be always about the most recent development or sort of cutting edge science, because you know, just as with contemporary art, sometimes the newest bit of science is a bit of science that's harder to decode and read, and you might find yourself with a much more feasible point of access into a discipline if you look to the history of a science, because you can follow how it emerges.
If you look at some of the dioramas at the Walter Rothschild Zoological Museum at Tring, at the time they were made to show people this is what the natural world is, but actually when you look at them now, they're much more a description of the culture that made the displays. You know, they have a kind of a sense of social hierarchy between the creatures. You know, in the bird collection at Tring, each of the birds has its own little plinth that it's sitting on. The big birds are all at the bottom, the little ones go at the top. And I think that's really interesting. You know, in a way, it's something that the people putting it together probably weren't aware of. That actually, it's much more accurately a description of how people saw animals or birds rather than how they are. And I think that's my engagement with science, I guess, is that you know, in a way you have to come in as an outsider, someone outside the discipline, to begin to kind of pick that aspect of it apart.